What's good? It's Woog. Gervonta Tank Davis just knocked Rolly Romero out in the 6th round, bringing an abrupt halt to an otherwise very interesting fight as long as it lasted. And, this was billed to be a very exciting and fun fight while it lasted. This fight did not play out the way that I believe most, thought that it would play out in terms of what we were going to see in round by round action. Coming into this, I thought that the skill gap was immense. I personally didn't think that Romero had much business in the ring with somebody the caliber of Gervonta Tank Davis. I just thought exchange for exchange, move by move, feint by feint, punch by punch, you were going to see this skill gap manifested as quickly as Gervonta Davis wanted to go ahead and manifest it. And, through 5 rounds, it was really anybody's guess what was going to go on the scorecards. Now, I haven't seen what the official scorecards were looking like after 5 rounds going into the 6th, but I know, for instance, that Boxing Scene had it 3-2 for Tank Davis, with Rolly Romero winning the first 2 rounds and then Gervonta Davis winning the next 3. I know that Boxing Wave, the YouTube channel Boxing Wave, I know he had it 3 rounds to 2, Rolly Romero. I thought that it could be 3-2 either way. You could even conceivably have had it 4-1 Rolly Romero. I don't think you would have been crazy to have that score. And so, I'm coming away from this fight, which, again, it was super competitive through 5 rounds. Now, again, Tank Davis ended up closing the show with a pretty devastating knockout where, he hit Rolly Romero with a counter left hand as Romero was coming in with a combination. Romero's defense, or lack thereof, was obviously something that everybody was going to be worried about going into this fight, but man, he got plastered by that one punch, and he fell into the ropes because it wasn't too dissimilar. And I think somebody had actually mentioned this after the fight, that it was a little bit like when Manny Pacquiao got caught by Marquez as Pacquiao jumped into the pocket in their 4th fight. But Romero got hit coming in, and he just fell along the ropes, and the ropes kept him up. Otherwise, he would have pretty much fallen face first. So it was like his arm hit the rope in a way where his arm looked like it could have gone over the rope like 1, 2, 3, 4 times and wrapped around the rope. And same thing with his torso and his legs. It just looked like he was kind of made of rubber as he fell into the ropes and then fell along the ropes. And to his credit, he beat the 10 count. Now, by that point, it's the referee's call on whether or not the fight continues. I don't think it was the worst stoppage. You're going to hear a lot of chatter about it potentially being an early stoppage, which I don't think is unreasonable either. I mean, he did beat the 10 count. The ref asked him, to show him, his gloves and then to take a step in one direction. Now, Rolly looked like his legs were still not totally under him, but we see this all the time where somebody kind of struggles to beat the 10 count and then they're trying to get their bearings and then they're given an opportunity to like tie up or make it out of the round based on their survival skills at that point. I just don't think, Rolly Romero simply wasn't given that opportunity. The ref looked at him, saw whatever he saw, waved his hand, and Rolly Romero ended up leaving the ring with his dad and heading straight to the locker rooms or to the exit, left the arena perhaps, but he didn't stick around for a post-fight in-ring interview, nothing like that. And he did look pretty shaken up even several seconds after the fight was stopped. So, in the moment, maybe you give the fighter the opportunity to clear the cobwebs and to get out of the bad situation. I don't know if the ref weighed in the fact that Gervonta Davis per punch has such devastating power that, 1 or 2 punches more, if Rolly Romero receives the punches kind of undefended or unprotected, that he could get hurt really badly, and called the fight based on that. I don't know what exactly the case was, or if he just didn't like the way that Rolly stepped to the side that he was instructed to step to, because again, he was still a little bit stiff-legged. But yeah, that was pretty much all she wrote when Davis plastered him with that left hand as Rolly was coming in. Davis said it wasn't even his hardest punch, and that makes sense because if the fighter is walking into or moving into the punch, just because of the velocity, you don't need the hardest punch to get him out of there and to really level him when you also have the object coming towards the fist. That was the case here. And, there was a moment a couple rounds prior where it looked like Gervonta Davis might have hurt his hand again. Like, he threw a punch and then he grimaced and then he yelled something and shook both arms. And I'm thinking, whoa, is this another situation like we had against Isaac Cruz where Gervonta Davis, didn't throw his signature left hand for like several rounds and was visibly staying away from letting the left hand go? I didn't know what the situation was, but after the fight, in the post-fight press conference, Davis said no, there was no injury, that he basically was reacting to missing a punch that he threw. So it was more a demonstrative, frustrated, just reaction, and it wasn't an injury in the way that it looked like it could be. And Davis, by the way, was doing a ton of talking throughout the fight. He was, responding to his mom being shown on the jumbo screen, between rounds. He was jawing at, audience members and just different personnel outside of the ring. And this was, between rounds. This was even at some points during the actual action. And I didn't love that aspect of this because it gives the impression that you might be being taken off of your game mentally, or you're not 100% focused. But if you see how Davis conducted himself in the ring, he was totally locked in. He did not disrespect the perceived lack of skill from Rolando Romero. He took a very professional approach minute by minute in this fight where he was very, very cautious. Like, this was much more of a chess match than most viewers thought we were going to get. I mean, we knew we were going to get a fun fight, but this, even going into the fight, this wasn't going to be the type of fun fight where, you got both guys in a phone booth going toe-to-toe, throwing 100 punches, landing damn near 100 punches, where there's a total lack of defense, and it just ends up being a brawl. We didn't think we were going to get that necessarily, especially from Tank Davis, who is a bit of a sweet science-style boxer to go along with his devastating punching power. We just knew that both guys were super explosive, and we knew that Rolly Romero, tends to get reckless and over his skis when he throws some of his punches. It ended up being the case in the 6th round that he did do that, but in the first 4 or 5 rounds, he fought a very measured and technical fight where he was looking for Davis to throw a punch, and then he would throw a punch, or he would throw a lead and take different sophisticated angles, and to his credit, was much better defensively than I thought he was going to be. Like, I come away from this fight with a totally different respect for Rolando Romero. I mean, Gervonta Davis only landed like 20-something punches in the whole fight and ended up knocking him out. But Rolando Romero did take some nice punches and keep on coming and keep on sticking to, that game plan that he was looking to execute where, he was throwing, right leads, but he was also throwing some nice counters. He was throwing multiple punches when they were in close quarters. He was looking to take Gervonta Davis's head off every bit as much as Davis was looking to take his head off. And we knew that we were going to get a very explosive chunk of action for as long as the fight continued, but we didn't think we were going to get this style of technical chess match where both guys are thinking a lot in the ring before they let their hands go. Davis was locked in, focused, very defensive minded, and Rolly Romero, his legs I thought were a lot better than I thought that they were going to be, where he's able to jump in and out of range pretty well, where, Davis was whiffing on several punches, coming up short. I mean, he was a shorter fighter by stature, but it looked like he was in range to get a punch off, but Romero would be out of range by the time Davis throws some of these punches, where you see Romero's feet moving in a way where he's in range and out of range. I didn't know that he had that element to his game. So yeah, there was a lot to take away from this fight that painted Romero in a much better light than I had him assessed beforehand. So as long as he doesn't get psychologically ruined and damaged from this fight, then I think that you could, piece a lot of this together and have a good career going forward. Again, I don't know what the result in the aftermath of this, kind of embarrassing style knockout. Like, this is going to get memed. I saw, the broadcast. Who was the main commentator on this Showtime pay-per-view broadcast? Not the color commentators, but the main guy. Because I thought that he took a damn near unprofessional approach to calling the knockout and then its aftermath. Like, I thought that, he sounded like he belonged on a Triller style card. And I mean like the trailer cars where they were bringing like a bunch of people in to basically lob jokes during the broadcast. I thought he was doing a little too much given the quality of action that we were getting in the first 6 rounds. But if you listen to the commentary and listen to all the jokes that the main play-by-play guy was delivering, I didn't really think that was warranted. Yes, it was a borderline comical knockout, and yes, he did fall into the ropes in a way where, yeah, the casual fan, people on Twitter, just people watching the action could crack jokes about. It was one of those types of knockouts, but I didn't think that it was right coming from the main play-by-play guy. But yeah, hats off to Rolly Romero for exceeding expectations. And by the way, I saw a lot of people did call a 6-round knockout specifically. What was it about this fight that told y'all 6 round specifically? I mean, I thought that it was going to result in a devastating Gervonta Davis knockout. I personally thought it was going to take place earlier. I thought maybe the 3rd or the 4th round, if not even sooner than that. Again, I was coming into this thinking that there was going to be a super significant skill gap, which you could still argue there was, but that didn't really show itself until towards the end of the fight or at the very end of the fight with that knockout punch. This didn't look like a mismatch during the first 4 to 5 rounds. And for that, I tip my hat to Rolando Romero. I thought that that was pretty damn impressive. And again, I think that he could have a good career going forward, depending on what his psychological state is and how he perceived the fight and how he's going to interpret and internalize this knockout. And props to Gervonta Davis for delivering yet another knockout. He now goes to 27 wins, 0 losses with 25 knockouts. Very, very impressive power. And, you know, I don't know if I have more questions about Gervonta Davis's boxing ability or if I just elevate Rolando Romero's boxing ability in my head, how I'm perceiving this. Like, because Gervonta Davis, I mean, I knew that he was prone to give up rounds. He lost rounds against Isaac Cruz, lost rounds against Leo Santa Cruz, lost rounds against Mario Barrios, and even before that, Jose Pedraza and a couple of others. He's lost rounds before, but he is a very technical fighter, selects his punches very wisely, and if he catches you with the trap that he's setting up, it's usually good night. And that was the case here. That was the case against Leo Santa Cruz and in several other Gervonta Davis fights. But going forward, it's going to be interesting to see how his career is navigated, because going into this fight, it was a lot of the talk was, oh, this is going to be his last fight with Mayweather Promotions. Well, we know that this is the last fight of his contract. We don't know if he's going to re-up with Mayweather Promotions or re-up with PBC, but perhaps outside of Mayweather Promotions. We don't know what he's going to do beyond this point, but I hope that whatever the aftermath of this fight is, and however his career and promotional deal is constructed going forward, or whoever he signs with, I just hope that it's a configuration that would allow for the fights that matter to be able to be made, whether that's Davis versus Vasily Lomachenko, Davis versus, you know, the winner out of Kambosos and Devin Haney, Gervonta Davis versus anybody, Teofimo Lopez, just anybody outside of the very limited set of opponents that he had under Mayweather Promotions, PBC, without making any cross-promotional efforts. They had to get super creative with his matchmaking because there was an unwillingness to make the cross-promotional fights that all the fans wanted to see. So that's why we saw him in there with Isaac Cruz, up at 140 against Mario Barrios, against, you know, a smaller Leo Santa Cruz who had just come up one fight prior to 130. Now I hope that Gervonta Davis at 135, because it seems like that's where he's wanting to kind of settle in. Keep in mind, he's a pretty small dude to begin with. I thought that he might have been at his best at 130, but it looks like 135 is going to be the place to be. There are a ton of very good fighters there. They just don't exist under the PBC umbrella. So whatever he does with his career, I hope that it involves him fighting somebody from Top Rank or fighting Ryan Garcia from Golden Boy, who fights on DAZN. Some configuration like that. But yeah, very impressive knockout. Again, this fight was much more competitive than I thought it was going to be. And man, this was intense, just moment by moment, because you're watching this thinking, what the hell is happening? Why is this looking like this could go either way? That either guy is winning this round, and you know, you're watching it probably still thinking that at some point Davis is going to catch it with something big and close the show, which he did, but it was interesting while it lasted. And again, I think that Rolando Romero conducted himself pretty well, except for just, you know, the walking out of the ring and not, you know, answering any questions or anything like that after the fight. Didn't love that part. But I also thought that it was telling in the post-fight when Gervonta Davis said, when he was asked, was Rolly Romero stronger than he thought he would be? He said, no, he was strong, and I got hit with a couple punches and, you know, basically got buzzed. And I knew that in the first couple rounds, it was still too early to just jump in there with him and start exchanging. So that shows Gervonta Davis's mindset a little bit. He doesn't see himself as being the big bad wolf who could just stay in the phone booth and just trade with you until one of you guys fall out. He sees himself as a technical boxer who's not looking to take big punches unnecessarily. So he respected Rolando Romero's power to the point where he thought that he should let some of the action pass and let some of the steam wear off and then engage him more heavily instead of just foolishly hopping in and just letting the bullets fly and let whatever happens, happens. No, he's got a technical mindset as much as he does have a technical style, even when he's delivering those fight-finishing power punches. But yeah, let me know what you thought of Gervonta Tank Davis versus Rolando Rolly Romero in the comments. And please, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you are into the fight talk. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.